Hello, welcome to my portfolio online comp review. I want to get started with candidate info. My name is Erin Broadbent, and I am 33, and I live with my 2 dogs and 3 cats. I started my educational journey with my bachelor's in science from KU. I was a classroom teacher for 2 years, and then I decided to become a counselor and receive my master's of science from Emporia. I've been a school counselor for the past 7 years, and a couple years ago I moved to Topeka 501. I chose Fort Hays because it made the most sense for me. I love data and graphs and calendars and spreadsheets, so the first thing I did was I made a spreadsheet of universities that offered a program that would be beneficial for me. And I tracked the cost, how long it would take to complete, information from people that I knew that went there, and all of that showed me that Fort Hays really made the most sense. I have a friend that went through this program and spoke highly of it, and from hearing what she had to say and reading stuff on the website, I felt like Fort Hays would really be the best to help me reach my goals. And that's important to me. I want to reach my goals. I don't just make them to make them. So in the next 1 to 5 years, I hope that I can start moving forward, either be dean of students or a building leader intern, and then hopefully an assistant principal and then a principal. I've already taken the first step, and in a last-minute decision, I will not be a counselor next year. Instead, I'm going to be the coordinator of 501's virtual school. So I'll really get to interact with more district people and have a much bigger leadership role. Hopefully in the next 6 to 10 years, I will be a principal of my own building. After that, I would like to be a lead principal. I enjoy helping others and teaching others and mentoring others. So in 501, they have a principal who's kind of in charge of other principals, and I would love to do that. Personally, in the next 1 to 5 years, I'd like to move to some land, about 5 to 10 acres. I'd like to travel, have more fur babies, maybe another doggy at some point. And then I really want to spend some time working on me. I really want to work on that personal growth, that mindfulness, that daily gratitude, going to church, finding answers to health, just different things like that. And then the next 6 to 10 years, I want to keep working on that, being happy and content. And beyond that, I hope to really work to have that strong support system. Next up, my leadership philosophy. I did not have to do this as an assignment, so for me, I sat down and worked on this, and I really took a long, hard look at who are the leaders that I've had, and what were their strengths, and what were the things that I just really loved about them. But I also thought about what were the struggles, what were the things that maybe we kind of butted heads with, and things that we struggled with, or I struggled with, and use those things to then think about and teach myself on what type of leader I would like to become. Next up is the program of study. And I started in June and July of 2018. I took the bulk of my classes then. You know, I don't have kids. It was a great time for me to really just buckle down and focus. Being summertime, I wasn't at work all the time, and so I was really able to work hard over the summer and got quite a bit accomplished. Next up is my resume. I actually just redid this because of the job change. I'm still in 501, but I had to apply for it and go through the interview process. So I used an online template. I really wanted it to be clean and organized. When it prints, this blank page doesn't show up, but I just tried to make it very simple and easy to read. I know they get a ton of resumes. Next up is my annotative bibliography. I don't know if anybody happened to notice, but I kind of had a little theme with mine. I really wanted to focus my articles on tips on becoming a good principal, and also then looking at the stressors of being a principal and why people are leaving this job and why they're stressed out. So most of my articles focus on that. There's a couple articles about being a 21st century leader, but like I said, most of it's on why is it considered so stressful and dangerous. The counselor in me, the educator in me, I really truly believe it's important to be cognizant and aware of what you're up against. And if you know those things, it's going to be much easier to face those. So I want to know, why is it so stressed out? Why is it so difficult? So that I can work to hopefully counteract that. Moving on to the different activities, I'm going to start with my district activities. And I was on several different district teams this year. I requested to be on them so I could kind of put myself out there. 501 is a large district, and I wanted to get my name and my face better known. So one team I was on was the district GEI team. GEI is our General Education Intervention, or kind of like a SIT team. We met over the summer during the school year, and together we created a handbook. This handbook was then given to all the other schools, and they are following the protocols and procedures that we set forth. I also was on our IndaStar team, which is about district standards and building standards. Then I was on the CI3T team, and so that we met, there were 5 different schools that were represented, and we would meet in the evenings, we would meet, we had some full day conferences. I also started a mentor program, and I took care of finding the mentors, the training, getting their background checks from the district office, and then I also passed this information on to other elementary schools so that they could implement the same program. We were having a little issue with kids coming to school super early and being a little rambunctious, so this really helped with that. I also asked to be part of Data Consult, which is a monthly meeting with the superintendent and other key district members where we would talk about data and things in the district and in our building. And then our district wants every building to have a mental health team, and mine never did. So I met with district leaders and I figured out what needed to happen, and then I created the mental health team and took that back and was able to present that as well. Next up is my elementary activities, and again, I really tried to kind of put myself out there. I was part of our building leadership team. PLCs, typically the counselor doesn't go to, so I asked if I could still go to the ones once a month with all the counselors for the district, but then on the other Fridays, I would go into different grade levels, and I would meet, and I just dedicated one Friday to one grade level and really spent that time with them to work on academic goals, behavior, social, emotional, and also talk about why are PLCs important? What do we need to be doing? How can we improve them? In that CI3T team, one of the things we did was we also then turned that over into being specific to our schools. So we created a behavior flow chart for my building, and when certain behaviors happen, teachers can look at this and know, when do I get in the office involved, when do I get parents involved, and this will be printed and given to all teachers next school year. I also took part in our Title Math Night. I was in charge of food, and so I was cooking and serving, and it was really fun to see the parents and the students in a whole different level. I used my activity fund safeguards for for category 5, and I really wanted to highlight this one because I went out of my own personal comfort zone, and I was in charge of our school social committee. And so I was in charge of the checkbook, the banking, and I've never done that before. And so it was good for me to have that experience with learning about funds and safeguards and what I needed to do to be following proper procedures. I also included person first language for category 5. This is near and dear to me because I think that we need to be very careful how we are speaking and being respectful to everyone. So this was able to get presented at a staff meeting. And then I also was on our admin PLC team, which meets different than the Fridays, and it's just principal, assistant principal, instructional coach, and myself. And we would meet to talk about everything under the sun: students, teachers, data, everything. I am actually going to jump over to the secondary activities next. And for this one, I used a lot more of assignments from class. And some of these were really hard for me because I have never really been a secondary person, and technology can be hard. So looking at, digital citizenship, assessments, things that I'm not used to looking at through the eyes of an older group of students was very helpful for me. I also really worked with my own strengths and weaknesses and finding out how I could utilize those best. And parental consent I included as well. I think that's huge, huge. Along with FERPA, and making sure that as the leader, I'm educating my staff on that, I think is huge. I really don't think I've had a principal spend time on that, in educating the staff and talking about what's important. And many times this year as the counselor, I would bring this stuff up after having learned about it. And so I want to be the leader that's already bringing those conversations to my building. And then I finished up with the discipline process. Again, having that in-depth look of how policies are being applied in the building. Are they applied fairly, consistently, and ethically to all students? Going to the reflection, I really didn't have a ton of prejudgments or beliefs, so this was a little bit difficult for me. I think for me, my biggest worry was 501 has a program in conjunction with K-State, and I was choosing not to follow that program and instead go to Fort Hays. And so I was a little bit worried how that would look in the district. And I haven't had any, backlash or issues with that at all. So that was really nice. So I just kind of go through different things. Another struggle, being at Fort Hays online, I don't have colleagues doing this with me. So I really kind of focused on who could I turn to and who could I lean on, and ended up finding someone in 501 in the same program as me. So then it moves on to the reports. There's the activity form and the administrative verification, which I had my principal sign since she was over all of that for me. So I don't know why it shows up crooked, but if you click on it, it shows up the right way. So technology and I are not always friends, but it will eventually flip itself around. Thank you for taking the time to go through my portfolio with me, and really just helping me to learn so much. I have learned a lot. So I thank you all for that, and thank you for taking the time and spending the time. Thank you.